Hello and welcome everyone. Today I will be talking about Korean Buddhist clothing. The table of contents are as following. First, I will cover the history of Buddhism and Buddhist clothing. Then after I will show historical pictures of the Korean Buddhist clothing and then the modern Korean Buddhist clothing. Next will be the meaning of colors, fabric materials, and finally I will talk about some interesting facts. Originally, the Korean monks' clothing came from India, where Buddhism started. The religion was introduced to Korea around 1,700 years ago during the Three Kingdom period. This happened because selected people of society were sent to China to study abroad and brought their new experiences and knowledge back home to Korea, especially to the Shilla kingdom. With this, the scholars had a big influence on the acceptance of Buddhism religion. However, first Buddhism found its way to China with the introduction of the Indian Buddhist robe, which led to a combination with the Chinese attire, two distinct country styles, and the people started to wear Buddhist robes over their clothes. Later, the religion found its way to Korea, where the uniform changed even more into something unique to Korean Buddhism attire, because of the different climate and culture in Korea. Another influence happened later when the invasion of the Japanese in the late 16th century took place and changed the style to something simpler and formed the robes into the uniform we know of today. So therefore, Korean Buddhist clothing is unique and different from other Asian countries. Now, I will introduce some of the most influential historical monks with pictures to show you how the Buddhist robes used to look like. Like many monks, Cha-Chang was born into an aristocratic family. He founded the Vinaya school of Buddhism, one of the 5 schools, the most important school of Kyo Buddhism in ancient Korea. Monhyo was and is the most famous of all Korean scholar monks. On his journey to China, he stopped in a cave, which was actually a tomb, and drank from a skull. First he was disgusted, but then he realized that it was only because of his mindset. After that, he traveled his whole life around Korea and introduced Buddhism to the ordinary people. Yu-chon was the son of King Munjong. He became a monk at the early age of 11. Later, he was said to have collected around 5,000 books and was named a national teacher. Chinul combined the two principles of Buddhism successfully, which is today known as the Togye Buddhism, which became the official state religion and is today's dominant form of Buddhism in Korea. As you can see here in the pictures, the robes were more colorful and in a Chinese style. Here I will briefly talk about historic headwear of the Korean Buddhist monk. In the first picture we can see songnak. Monks used to wear these hats, which were made from straw. The form of this hat helped to protect the wearer from the elements of nature, such as rain or sun, but also symbolized modesty and the Buddhist belief of having limited possessions. In the next picture we can see kokgal. It was introduced from China. This hat was made from linen or silk even. To stabilize the material, a paper was inserted to create the form of the cone. It can still be seen nowadays at dances for festivities at temples. The design can be altered by adding big, colorful paper flowers to the hat. It was said that this hat would connect the wearer with the heavens and was originally worn by nobles who conveyed the will of the gods, but it was also worn by priests such as shamans and Buddhist monks. Monks wore this cone and performed a monk dance to symbolize their beliefs. Next, I will show some examples of modern Korean Buddhist robes. You can notice some differences between the old ones to the new ones. Sungbok is the general name for Korean Buddhist clothing. The everyday clothing traditionally consists of padi, white pants, and choksam, a working jacket. Changsam is a grey outer robe for formal gatherings, which is usually combined with a brown long cloth called gasam. which stems from kasaya, the Indian name for it, that is draped over the shoulder. Working jacket and the pants for summer are usually made from linen, and they are standing up from the body, which allows the skin to breathe. It is worn every day. In winter time, they wear cotton wool padded winter clothes as protection against the wind and the dry cold. A matching shawl and cap come in the same gray color. The changsam is mainly based on the traditional Korean hanbok, made one size bigger everywhere. Sleeves and waist are usually very wide, and the changsam is also divided into two types according to the Tokyo order and the Taego order of Buddhism. The Tokyo order has wide sleeves with vents on the inner side, and the belt is fixed at chest level. The Taego order has full-length sleeves and no seam in the waist, similar to the traditional Korean coat. Gaza, draped over the left shoulder, and the right shoulder is left to be naked. As for the color, chestnut brown is used for the Tokyo order and red for Taego order. However, there can be more colors. The gaza symbolizes equality, wherein there is no distinction between the noble and the mean. Historically, it was made from discarded cloth that was ritually polluted or literally filthy. The procedure was to cut out usable pieces, wash them, sew them together, and dye the resulting garment. These days, robes are donated. However, the tradition of cutting the cloth and stitching them together remained. They come in different colors and shapes according to the rank of the monk. 25-piece gazas are worn by senior monks, and a 9-piece gaza is usually worn by a newly ordained one. It represents the independence between the holy person and the common person. Meaning of the colors, material, when they are being used, and how. Such as the intention of letting go of our possession, letting go of all worldly desires, symbolized by the gray color, which also indicates that the wearer is a monk or a nun. The thought behind this attire is that the practitioner should let go of all their possessions and not have any attachment, which is a big part of the Buddhist belief. The clothes are or were made by leftover pieces, stitched together from clothes from passed-away monks. The color is intentionally usually a gray or brown tone. Gray is the standard color, however, a new monk or a nun might be seen wearing brown colors instead. Clothing will also show the ranks of the monks, their duties, and it will look slightly different during the seasons. The Dharma robes, also called sungbok, are changsam and gaza combined and represent the will to follow the teaching of Buddha. Both the changsam and gaza have different colors for different rankings among the monks or the nuns. Records during the reigning time of King Sejong show that the changsam was worn before the 15th century. Interesting facts. The robes are rather expensive these days, around 700,000 won, so they are either provided by the temple or being donated. A female monk, bhikkhuni, can own up to 5 sungbok, and a male monk, bhikkhu, up to 3. Some of these uniforms are then worn for decades or even until death. Because more and more people are interested in wearing comfortable Buddhist clothing, prices have gone up drastically, and the design has been slightly changed to a more luxurious feeling to catch the interest of potential buyers. Even tourists or ordinary people can buy these in stores around temples and wear them every day or keep them as souvenirs. Another interesting fact is that changsam was also introduced to the Korean shamans and called bulsa changsam. The changsam was even worn by women as a ceremonial robe, especially women of higher rank and even female entertainers. However, even though the name might be the same as the Buddhist monk robes, the intention behind it has a completely different meaning and style. Even though there is quite a lot more to learn about Korean Buddhism, the historical facts, more about Korean Buddhist clothing and even Korean Buddhist clothing history, I'm going to end my presentation here, and I'm thanking everyone for paying attention and listening to me.